This is the full story of how the Premier of the Northern Region and the Sardauna of Sokoto, Sir Ahmadu Bello, was assassinated and killed in Nigeria's first military coup on January 15, 1966. For more than 10 years, Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardauna of Sokoto, served as the first and only Premier of the Northern Region of Nigeria. A bold and charismatic leader, the Premier was undoubtedly the most powerful politician in Nigeria's First Republic. A founding father of the Northern People's Congress (NPC), Nigeria's largest political party at the time, Sir Ahmadu Bello's love for the North made him focus on the development and progress of the region that now consists of Nigeria's 19 states and its federal capital in Abuja. Bello was so powerful that even emirs held him in high regard and dared not challenge his authority, especially after he deposed Emir Muhammadu Sanusi I of Kano in April 1963. He was a highly respected leader and one who was devoted to the unity of the country. The nation's political instability after independence led to the bloody coup of 1966, which saw the premier brutally murdered along with his first wife. His death would trigger a series of events ending with the nation's first ever civil war from 1967 to 1970. Ahmadu Bello began his political career by seeking the post of Sultan of Sokoto. He was unsuccessful in his bid but was vested with the title of the Sardauna of Sokoto, meaning the Crown Prince. In 1951, he helped establish the Northern People's Congress (NPC). The party eventually became the largest in Nigeria at the time. During this period, other strong parties arose in other regions of the country. The National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons (NCNC), which later became known as the National Convention of Nigerian Citizens, led by Nnamdi Azikiwe and was dominant in the Eastern region, and the Action Group Party (AG), led by Chief Obafemi Awolowo, which was dominant in the Western region. Ahmadu Bello preached the gospel of federalism as the system of government most suitable for the country. This was, however, mainly because of his desire to protect the North from what was a perceived possibility of Southern domination. He soon became the head of the NPC and would go on to become a member of the Regional Executive Council as the Minister of Works. Bello was also head of various ministries in the Northern region, including local government and community development. In 1953 and 1957, Ahmadu Bello led the Northern delegation to the independence talks held in London. In 1954, he became the first premier of the Northern region. The 1959 general elections saw his party, the Northern People's Congress, enter a coalition with Azikiwe-led NCNC. Both parties forged an alliance and together they formed Nigeria's first indigenous federal government. They went on to win the elections with the NPC garnering the majority of the seats in the House of Representatives. Nigeria gained independence from Britain the following year in 1960. During the first few years after independence, Ahmadu Bello was perhaps the most politically powerful person in the country, even more powerful than Prime Minister Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. However, Bello never sought leadership over all of Nigeria. He was, in fact, content in his position as the Sardauna of Sokoto and the Premier of the Northern Region. While Sir Ahmadu Bello served as the Premier of the Northern Region, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa served as the Prime Minister of Nigeria. The Prime Minister's administration was, however, met with turbulence, a string of chaotic events, and violent protests. All of these marred the Balewa administration. The Western region had become a shadow of itself. This was as a result of the power tussle between the founder of the Action Group Party, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and the Premier of the region, Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola. The supporters of the different factions would not see eye to eye, hence an eruption of violent displays in the West. Also, there was a treason charge and conviction against Chief Obafemi Awolowo. This led to a series of protests and condemnation from many of his followers. The inability of the Prime Minister to douse the fire of rage and chaotic displays eventually led to his downfall and also that of Sir Ahmadu Bello and Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola. On January 14, 1966, Akintola met with Bello to warn him of rumors of a military overthrow. Akintola warned that they both flee the country. However, the Premier maintained an unflinching stance, asking what would become of the nation if they were to flee. His fearlessness doused the fears of Akintola, who returned to Ibadan that night. The following morning, January 15, 1966, saw Nigeria's first ever military intervention. Major Chukwuma Kaduna, in the early hours of the morning, stormed the house of the Premier, Ahmadu Bello, and bombarded it. After searching frantically for him, he eventually found him in the midst of his wives and children. The Premier wriggled free from his wives, but one of them, Hafsatu, held on to him. But Nzeogu shot the couple and killed them. The Major afterwards blew a whistle, signaling an end to the operation. He had killed the Premier, and the mission on his end had been successful. Nigeria's first military coup of January 15, 1966 saw the death of not only the Premier, Sir Ahmadu Bello, but also the death of Prime Minister Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Premier of the Western Region, Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola, and the Minister of Finance, Chief Festus Okotie-Ibo. The assassination of Ahmadu Bello was untimely and a huge loss to the nation. The coup would trigger an outbreak of violence, throng of killings and massacre, especially of the Igbo people. This string of events eventually led to the Nigerian Civil War from July 6, 1967 to January 15, 1970.